desert, and we had a little hangover remix out there, man.
I wore a wig to school once, and they said no headgear was allowed.
How did
spider web
was it
tights.
Obvious that it was a wig?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was having
terrible
fun.
wig.
See, this is exactly why we have them on the show, and this is what makes them fun.
You're listening to KXVS, the voice of Stockton, 92.1 FM.
This is a production for the voice of San Joaquin. Porque nos vamos a enlazar con el mero, el gallo de Zacatecas.
That's right, homeboy.
El de Guayá. You got it, homeboy. Ahí les voy.
Dicen que soy poderoso, yo solo soy su amigo. No hace falta de
Go to tvosj.org.
The voice of San Joaquin and the voice of Stockton presents a special episode of Politics Panoramic. We have a young gentleman, broadcaster from the voice of Stockton here. Jayavin, how you doing, Jay?
I am doing fine, yes.
All right.
It feels odd, to say the least, to be back on air.
Really?
It's been like a year and a half.
Man, where you been?
Home and in school.
Home and in school. Those sound good.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So, Politics Panoramic, it's a program that we started at the old station,
Yes.
and basically it's about talking about politics in a way that hopefully is informative. It's definitely local perspectives, and hopefully we don't just make questions, but we bring in some answers. So we'll see how that works. Oh, that's the cool intro with the actual words. All right. So, let's go ahead and start the show.
Okay, so today, if you didn't know, is National Chocolate Covered Raisin Day. I had no idea. I Googled it, and it just was there. Like 5 minutes ago. I'm not even kidding.
The National Chocolate Covered Raisin Day.
Yes, they're pretty delicious. I do.
Yeah, there's a name brand, Raisinets, but people, they used to be the big thing at the movie theaters.
Yeah, no one eats them now. They just eat junk food now.
Oh, they still got them.
I know, but
they're $5, $5 for a 60-cent pack, but still.
It's like this big. That'd be $5, but
So,
that's capitalism for you.
National Chocolate Raisin Day. Isn't there a couple other things? There's like 10 different things of every day, right?
Well, today is just this one. I think tomorrow is like 3 different holidays. Tomorrow, like, imagine if we had like every national holiday ever off, we would never get anything done.
Yeah,
it's like, well, I'm off on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not Sunday. Instead of having a work week, we would just have days where there wasn't a national holiday.
There's a couple more. There's today is the World Tuberculosis Day.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
World TB Day.
World TB Day.
Yeah. Apparently the top tweet of the day is by Wiz Khalifa. I'm just looking up stuff. But speaking of politics, so you heard that the investigation that Robert Mueller was conducting on Donald Trump's connections to Russia was concluded, and the report has been sent to the Attorney General. Hasn't been released to the public yet.
Yes.
But it's a big thing, and everyone's talking about that they're going to talk about it.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm wondering, like, what's your take on that? Like, Russian collusion. We've been hearing it for a couple years now.
I'm saying it's a definite possibility. No, it's actually a definite probability. But there's always a chance that there isn't. Now, you gotta say, just because they say we may not like Trump or his ways, doesn't mean he's also a citizen and deserves a fair trial. We can't just say, well, he probably did it, so he did it. We can't that's unfair.
Right.
Right. It's like you can't say, well, you can't give someone, say, okay, well, we have to go through this whole trial, you have to do all these things. Right. And you can't just say, oh, well, he probably did it, so he goes to jail. Impeach him,
So impeachment, you brought that up. You know that the last president to get impeached was Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, that was a 2008 around.
Right, it was a while ago. Before that, but
I was like 3.
Yeah, it was before that. But the But the thing is that he got impeached for lying.
Yeah, that's it. Lying. You know.
For lying, though.
I mean, it's a pretty big, offense. But
it was a big offense.
It really is.
For a president to tell something that he knows to be a lie.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, CNN and MSNBC and all the fact checker sites and stuff, even I don't know if Fox News is keeping track of it, but they keep track of how many lies that President Trump has told, and we're in the almost tens of thousands.
Yeah, this guy. See, now that I think is very impeachable right there.
Just by
because they did it for Clinton. Why not Trump? It's kind of
well, you got to be under oath.
Yeah.
So Clinton was under oath.
I'm sure Trump has at least lied a few times under oath.
I don't know if he's ever actually been under oath, because in order to be under oath, you got to be
in court.
In court,
much.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or in in court, pretty much. Yeah.
So impeaching, that's the big talk. And the leader of the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, says that she don't even want to talk about it.
She said it's not worth it, in her own words.
He's not worth it.
He's not worth. Yeah, he's not worth it.
He's not worth it. It's kind of funny. It's like
is he using reverse psychology? Maybe
maybe.
Trevor Noah said maybe she's using reverse psychology. So hard word to try to say
three-dimensional chess. I think she is in a way, and Nancy Pelosi. I mean, I don't know if you know, but. Her history in the Democratic Party is her value to the party, her self-proclaimed value is that she could raise a lot of money. So I'm just going to say, you raise a lot of money, right? That's not
that's pure capitalism.
Right. And then, it opens the door to corruption and things like that.
Yeah.
But and we also got to remember that Donald Trump not only wasn't opposed to Nancy Pelosi leading the Democrats. He recommended her. He wanted her to be the leader of the Democrats. Right?
Isn't that kind of like how the Republicans were predicted Obama was going to run in 2008?
Yeah, that's an interesting story. A lot of people don't talk about, but that's the first time I
need to do more research on it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, let's we could touch on that later. But I think the interesting thing is that her saying that she's not going to even look into impeachment. I mean, immediately you might say, well, is there some corruption there? But I think that what might have happened is when she said that, I think a lot of people were like, are you crazy? You're not even going to think about impeachment? It kind of forces them to react. And if they react, then she could say, oh, well, I wouldn't do it, but the public wants to do it, so I got to, isn't that what your Congress people are supposed to do? They're supposed to be.
They are the House of Representatives,
right,
or Senate. But Senate, they were added later, so
right.
They're not as historic, not as constitutionally.
Okay, well, not as. That's all. Those are part of the origination.
Necessary. Oh yes, but they were added. A few decades later, a few years.
Oh man, you got me on that one, man. Constitutional scholars, post a comment. I would take a look at it.
Yes, but please do. I need to learn more about it.
It's just you and I in the studio, so yeah. Before I start doing fact check, we got to get you talking.
Yeah,
that's how radio works. And I'll look it up as far as as far as the way that our government is organized, this government is organized to regulate itself.
Yeah, it's checks and balances.
The three branches of government and the fourth branch, which is the media. Their job is to, keep the government honest.
They're basically the general public almost. They're basically their rep. They're so you have the executive branch, which is the president, the cabinet, and all those people. I think the VP is actually separate from the president and cabinet. I think they're their own president, VP, cabinet. They have the legislative, which is the which is Congress, which makes up which is the House of Representatives and Senate, and then we have judicial, which is the Supreme Court and all other federal courts. So I guess media would definitely just be media outlets as well as the general public.
Wow. Yeah. So on what you said earlier about the Senate, the Senate was formed in 1789.
That's a few years after.
Well, when was the Constitution written?
I think it was in 17. I want to say 84, but I think that's wrong.
87.
Oh,
so you're right. 2 years later.
2 years later. So it's less. It's not as necessary, but it is still necessary.
Well, the difference between the House of Representatives and the Senate. So the House of Representatives gets representatives based on population.
Based on each district of each state has representatives.
So what state has the most representatives?
Oh, California by far.
Right.
Then it goes California, Texas, then New York.
Right. So now
they would decide literally everything that ever happened.
How many senators does California have?
2.
And how many senators does Hawaii have?
2.
Rhode Island.
2. Everyone has 2
Alabama.
senators.
Right. So that's what it was. It was a way to have 2 arenas.
One
arena has its power based on popularity, and the other arena has equal power from all the states.
It's basically so the Congress can check itself.
Check yourself, Congress.
For you wreck yourself.
Which is what's happening. You want to talk about politics and polling. You know that the American people have the lowest level of trust and confidence in Congress than of all time. So there's a joke. What's the opposite of Congress?
Congress. Progress?
Yes. So anyhow, but I mean, that's a good joke. But I think we got a lot of progress in this Congress. The last election, 2018, that's when we saw all these progressive Democrats, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the AOC.
Her name is just so long that it's like FDR, just acronym it.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt. It was long.
Franklin Do Now Roosevelt. That's an inside joke.
Well, what about JFK? Like, no one ever says the F.
Like who? Like
John F. Kennedy. They just say F again.
Like, what is his middle name? Like, I still don't know.
Well, if he was a rapper. Anyway, now when you talked about Congress and you talked about Senate and we were talking about checks and balances, the media being another check and balance, but you know who was the main check and balance of the government?
Us.
We the people, right?
Yeah. I think the first words in both the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence.
No, Declaration of Independence says we hold these truths to be self-evident.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
I think we the people is in there somewhere.
Right. We the people is how the Constitution starts. Yes. But we are the people, and we do check the government, and sometimes it happens through protests. Sometimes it happens, and it's usually adults though. Even though most of the movements, like the civil rights movement, the abolitionist movement, the right now the movement for gun safety, things like that. A lot of these important movements are led by young people.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something.
We're less, I guess we're more innocent and less bigoted than most people because people unintentionally form their own biases as time goes on. It's kind of like how your brain can read words. If all the words in between the first and last letters are scrambled, but the first and last are the same. Like I could read April if it was spelled AIRPL. Like I read April because my brain takes shortcuts. So I guess your brain forms bigotries and prejudices so it doesn't have to focus so much.
It's interesting because it's actually, I would say it forms biases because prejudices are before you get information.
Yeah.
So once you get information, so young people have more prejudices because they just don't have the information. As people get older, their prejudices become biases. And then they start believing things and start believing things are impossible that may be possible. And this is just how it is. And when I was, one thing that every older generation does for the younger generation is say, oh, man, when we were kids, it was tougher and you guys got it easy, which, in some ways that's always true, but in some ways it's always false.
Yeah, in some ways. Because, Constitution always changes every decade or so. There's always maybe something major changes about it.
Yeah, amendments,
just changes in how the government works because it doesn't work anymore.
Well, so laws, we have lots of laws, but a lot of our laws are unconstitutional. So how the legal system works is we might create a law and then the law gets challenged.
Like the second half of the 13th Amendment contradicts, was it the 4th Amendment?
Right.
Cruel and unusual. Slavery is pretty cruel and kind of unusual. The Constitution in that way almost contradicts itself.
Right. I think that's a challenge that should be made. And then when you talked about the 3rd Amendment and talk about cruel and unusual punishment, and 4th Amendment is the right to be secure.
Right to be secure.
Right.
A lot of them about
how many laws are contradictory to that? How many unconstitutional laws do we have? I mean, like, there's so many. Like,
I think the FCC's entire existence contradicts the First Amendment.
FCC.
If you're listening, come on.
Just hold on. If you're listening to FCC,
don't
fire
come
us.
on. Please don't come on. But I'm just saying,
come on. But,
don't, because we're.
But yeah, you're right. You're right. If we have the freedom of speech,
and you can't say the F word on the radio,
right? And
that's a little, whoa,
Yes. And so there, of course, we have rules and regulations. But what about yelling fire in a crowded movie theater? Right? You can't do that. That's inciting a riot.
That's Which I think it's like the first you can say whatever you want as long as it doesn't directly incite violence or chaos, pretty much.
Right.
So you can't say, oh, kill that guy, or or spread lies that inadvertently but also kind of intentionally cause someone to be harmed.
Well, those lies, there's different kinds of lies. There's defamation, and then there's libel. Libel is usually, I think, in the written form. But yeah, so there you are. You have the freedom of speech, but if you say something that's false or harms another, you could have to pay for it.
I don't know.
And through a fine or jail time.
Yes,
you could literally tell a lie that could land you in jail.
See, the thing is about America is that
unless you're a president,
our lies is that our laws pretty much is basically it's a bit almost the opposite of a zero tolerance policy. You have everything ever is an exception in our country, which if this guy killed someone. In some countries, maybe they say, "Oh, he killed him. He's going to jail," or he's executed. But instead, he killed him, but it was in self-defense. He didn't actually mean to kill him.
Right.
He was gonna shoot him to death, but it's like, no, got a chair and bashed him over the head.
Yeah.
That's an exception. He killed him, but it was in self-defense. So
right.
That's an exception to murder.
Sure, and different countries have different rules. Some countries, you kill somebody and they give you a high five. They're like, oh, that person was totally breaking some religious law, and it's a good thing you beat him over the head with a stone until they died or something.
All right, Cain, chill.
Yes, Raisin Cane. But so
chocolate covered Raisin Cane.
Chocolate covered Raisin Cane.
I was waiting for you to make that joke. This entire time.
Ah, nice.
I've been holding on to that.
So there's different forms of recourse we can have when we feel like the government isn't doing what it's supposed to do. One of the stories you brought up, we mentioned earlier, is that there's kids suing the federal government?
Yes. We're going to get to that a little bit later.
Okay.
But for now, I would like to talk about a recent survey done by yours truly. And so out of 40 eighth graders that I interviewed, including myself, so I was number one.
So this is a survey.
The survey, yes, done by me at my school. 40 people. That's about half about half of eighth grade.
Okay.
I couldn't get to everybody.
That's a great sample size, though.
Yeah, that's about half eighth grade. The number one answer were that they weren't sure.
What was the question?
It was basically what do you want your future career to be? But the question I asked them was, what do you want to do with their life? Just because the other one just it was just so weird. So 8% were not sure, which was the number one answer. The
not sure.
They're not sure what they wanted to do. The second most popular answer was which was I think I don't remember the exact number because I didn't write it down. I did write it down, but not on this document because I'm an idiot sometimes and just forget to do things. Was like content creator or YouTube and all that stuff. Third was doctor, and fourth was tied between. Actually, hold on. It was English professor, veterinarian, and president.
Wow.
Yes, I know. I know who was president. It was me and another kid.
Well, that's a high amount. That's 1 in 20.
Yeah, 1 in 20.
5% of the eighth graders
decide they want to be president. Yeah,
that's not bad. Of course, there can only be one.
There can only be one
every 4 years.
every 4/8 years.
Right.
Unless one dies.
Yeah.
Other occupations include, I'm not kidding, freeloader, career criminal, programmer, rapper, and even more. So yes, freeloader is apparently one of these.
Somebody actually mentioned they want to be a freeloader?
Yeah, one of my friends said nothing. I just want to sit around the house all day, which I wrote as freeloader because that's what they basically was describing.
I would say never grow up.
Yeah, another one said he wanted to sell drugs. So I wrote career criminal.
Career criminal, that is.
Yes.
Of course. So some of the, just like in any survey, some of the answers might not be genuine.
Yes, I mean I'm like serious, man. When you want to,
because we're not going to give any names because
because that's kind of illegal.
Plus they're young,
it's kind of illegal.
But what's interesting is that freeloader. Now I thought that was somebody who works for free. loading. No.
Like he just sits around the house all day and eats their food.
Just loads.
That's called volunteering.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great. You should do that.
Well, I think a lot of kids, what do you want to be in the future? What was the question again?
It was, what do you want to do with your life?
What do you want to do with your life? Okay.
Because you only get one
we
know of.
What was the most popular answer?
They weren't sure. 8 out of 40. That's 5%. Wait, no, not 5%.
20%.
20%. Yes. Everything else was just other stuff. Like there were some were like vehicle engineer. And I think,
but the greatest answer was I don't know.
I don't know, which is
total makes sense.
Totally
right? Eighth grader. I said 8-year-olds.
13 to 14. Yes. So some of them do act like they're 8-year-olds.
Yes.
Seriously, a lot of screaming. I'm trying to do some math here, okay? But I'm having this guy right next to me who's just screaming at the top of his lungs. It's like, what are you doing?
Well, president being on your list, I think is good.
That was one of my answers. That was my answer. I wrote down the first one.
But you said somebody else also said that.
Yes, it was another one of my friends.
Some other friend to be unnamed.
I'm not gonna say his name.
It's the president.
Oh, I said it was he.
Gender. Dang.
Well,
that narrows it down to 50% of the 8th graders. It could be one of 40 students.
Actually, I think most of them are actually female. So, like majority.
Oh man, it must be one of those schools that let you in based on test scores. You know that's the trend, right? Females test higher than males
because males are more impulsive and stupid. Thank you, testosterone.
Well, I think it's different. I think it's because when we even the playing field, we get more various results.
Well, yeah.
And before, I think that a lot of things in our society being what do you call bias towards male bias. And of course,
white male bias.
Obviously, white male bias, but
it's like 70% of America right there.
Right, like even when you're being really even, like when Bernie Sanders addressed the crowd, he says brothers and sisters, but I've never heard him say sisters and brothers. Right. So
brother is alphabetically first. I've noticed a trend with people is that they usually say the alphabetically first option.
I think that's a fair way to do it.
Me and my brother, it's Donovan and Jayavin because D comes before J. It's Donovan and Kira, not Kira and Donovan.
Right.
Najee and Jayla. Actually, yeah. Wait, no, actually, that was an exception, right? Najee and Jayla. I think it's
they're twins.
Yeah, so
born. So that's chronological.
Chronological, Najee and Jayla. It is usually chronological. May, Kira. And then it just kind of flip flops.
Well, parents tend to name the kids chronologically. I tell you,
they do 100%.
Especially when they're upset at them and they're like trying to say your name, they just say everyone else's name.
I remember when my mom used to call Kira. She'd be like, no, she's called me or Kira Donovan, whatever. And then she'd be like, Donovan.
Right.
Like, only one of your kids' names start with a D. I think it should be much easier to but you got 7 of them, so
now she's showing her bias.
Bias.
So this survey,
didn't she name him?
I think the survey is interesting because I'm actually surprised that only 20% said they didn't know. For someone who's about to enter high school, for there to be only 1 in 5 of the students who just don't even have a clue. Now, I think there's also some others who probably don't know, but they made funny answers and things like that. So maybe they're also in the don't know category.
Yeah, but I mean,
somewhere between, I think
some of them changed their answers midway through, so I had to erase. But I'm holding it in my hand. I'm not good at drawing things in my hand.
Yeah.
It makes my already terrible handwriting even worse. I had trouble reading it myself. Okay.
Well, unfortunately, that's typical for your generation. You guys don't write much.
What do you mean? I'm left-handed. Okay, it's not my fault.
Especially the lefties of your generation.
Well, that's 10% of our generation.
Yeah, man, that's right.
10% of everybody.
It's going up. It's moving up.
I actually know 3 people left-handed. That's quite a lot.
And you probably know.
Probably a lot more.
Many more right-handed.
I mean, Grandma's technically left-handed, but her right arm's paralyzed. Technically.
It's not a choice.
Yeah.
Shout out to Grandma.
Yeah. Shout out.
So I'm wondering though, do you think that it's because of or first of all, do you think that is a low number of people who are undecided at the 8th grade?
I think it's actually a pretty reasonable number because times are changing and a lot of people are given a lot more options.
Yeah.
And we mature faster due to the internet.
Right.
And so we already have pretty good ideas. So my first, when I was a kid, was like, I want to be an astronaut. Then I went to paleontologist, back to space with astronomer, and then environmental scientist, and now I'm on president. It might change, but I'm thinking pretty good right now.
You feeling that? Okay.
I'm feeling like my plan is to get a degree in political science. Okay. Become a representative.
Okay.
For San Joaquin County.
Nice.
For two terms, Senate, then president.
Wow, that's very.
my whole plan.
That's an aggressive plan.
I mean,
go hard or go home.
Yeah, exactly. With the time, I'll be like 25. I'll be like early 40s.
Well, yeah, you got to be, because you got to be 35 to be president.
So I'm like, at minimum, you're gonna be 39 when you get out.
Nice.
Unless you get impeached.
Youngest president.
Unless you get kicked out.
But which you won't.
Oh yeah.
Because you won't commit any impeachable offenses.
No collusion.
Okay.
Witch hunt.
You know what? I had a thought about the survey. I'm thinking that maybe it's possible that because young people, I think they know what they want to do. But you just said you said 5 different things.
Yeah,
now,
they
right?
think they know, but they really don't.
So I think, because what I've noticed is high school students. I think when high school students, when you ask them that question, the unsure number goes up.
Probably.
Maybe it's because they're
pressure.
realizing more things and realizing that it's not just these kind of choices. Other things are involved. Amount of time you have, how much money you got, things like that.
Get a AA bachelor's,
master's, doctorate. So I think maybe some of them maybe get discouraged by the time they get to high school and say, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go get a job and
I'm gonna just
pay my
work
bills.
at McDonald's for the rest of my life.
Yeah, some people do that.
I think if you might want to work at Amazon, they get paid like $15 an hour net required. I think that's what you want to start off with, because they're raising the minimum wage.
Bernie Sanders raised the Amazon and Disney minimum wage.
Yes, because they're like the 2 richest companies like on the planet.
It was called the Stop Bezos Act.
To stop Bezos.
Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon. Stop Bezos Act.
Oh man.
And it made Amazon and Disney pay their employees $15 an hour, which is because. I mean, it's really kind of disgusting. I'm going to keep it real.
It is really.
That, last year there was a time when Jeff Bezos was making $250 million a day.
That's like that's $1 billion every 4 days.
Right.
That's almost $2 billion a week.
Exactly.
Like, what are you trying to buy? The moon?
At the same time, he had almost 100,000 employees who are on welfare.
Or
60,000 something.
That is criminal for him now, but
now it would be. Yeah,
he would go to jail. He violated his,
But dude, I mean, this is why I'm, I don't know. Like, I really am looking towards the next generation, because a lot of us, we think we know stuff, but we've been corrupted by our experiences. We have biases too.
We have bias. You do have biases.
But one thing I find really encouraging from the young generation is that you seem to have a grasp on some really important issues. Number one, climate.
Oh, yeah, climate. Yeah, they're suing the federal government.
You have a grasp on racial equality.
Yes.
Criminal justice. The younger generation, when I was a younger generation, we thought weed was like, heroin. It was it's funny.
on the same
at least we were
level.
told that. And then we saw our parents smoking weed.
Nixon
right?
I think Nixon started that.
Right.
Yes. The guy who started Watergate, I feel like that loses a lot of its validity once you realize that it's Richard Nixon when anything he ever did ever.
Well, the war on poverty, the war on drugs, it's basically...
Why would you have a war on that? They're addicts. It's like you're not gonna go, let's go and we gotta take out these alcoholics or these people dying of cancer because they were smoking tobacco. They don't do that.
Right.
He's just smoking a joint. It's April 20th. Like, come on, chill. Everyone's doing it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, not that it's okay because everyone's doing it, but I think that the level of
I'm just saying like he's like, well, you're gonna have to take out everyone if you're gonna do that.
Well, the level of objectivity, or I would say the level of tolerance for diversity and diverse opinions, I think is much higher in the younger generation. What you guys tolerate less than what we tolerated is discrimination.
Oh my God!
You guys tolerate less bigotry. You guys tolerate, and in some ways that could be kind of extreme too, because
that's why I don't like watching movies from the 70s.
Oh
They
man,
make me feel so angry.
Yeah, how could you let it happen?
Like,
Right?
what? No, just right hook, man.
But at
right
the same
hook.
time,
Republican right.
I think adults sometimes are using young people. Like I saw a video about like these youngsters wearing MAGA gear, Make America Great Again, Donald Trump gear, and other youngsters were confronting them about it. And then people were complaining like, "Oh man, these kids should have the right to wear what they want to wear."
They should.
I agree with that, but there's another question: is why are they wearing this?
Do they agree with Donald Trump?
Do they really agree
or
with
do
it?
their parents agree with Donald?
Are they being led or misled? Right?
Yeah.
Right?
You gotta cross-examine everything. What use is information?
Right.
If you can't cross-examine it.
And then you got to take things in context too. Like I saw a video of a teacher snatching away someone's like "Make America Great" flag or something. Now you go to school, you can't carry no flag in the hallway.
Actually, you might, not sure.
Well, you can't even wear stuff with words on it.
Well, I mean,
right?
I guess.
Right. So if you can't wear things with words on it, it don't matter whether it's
I think I'd rather wear a flag.
"Make America Great Again" or
as long as it's not like gang related.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly. So there's restrictions on the things you can wear at school.
Well, to make sure you're not a potential school shooter.
Well, I would say maybe it's more of a way to. Sometimes we make a rule to cover stuff, even stuff we don't have to cover, right? So like I think it's actually absurd that we let gang activity dictate to us what colors we can wear.
That's stupid. We should.
There was a public event in Modesto, and I was with somebody who was wearing a white T-shirt with this. That was a T-shirt version of the California flag.
Yeah, it had the bear and everything. Right?
Had the bear, the green
and red stripes.
Yeah, it was
colors of the Mexican flag.
It was the bear on top of a green field, and then the red star.
Red star, yeah, it's classic American.
So they wouldn't let him into the event. They wouldn't let this guy into the event, and he said because that's gang affiliated clothing. I said,
is California a gang?
It's literally the California flag on his shirt, right?
Apparently, I'm a gang member.
Same font. Right?
It's the like apparently I'm a gang member. I live in California. That's a gang now, the Californian gang.
Well, the thing is that when we're looking for public safety, we're trying to find a safe place to be. So that's an example where all the people who were California patriots were not allowed to come in just in case with that gear because the potential that somebody be wearing that red star as a gang affiliated symbol.
Even so, why? Like,
same reason why. Same reason why at school.
That's just wearing their own. Like, even if they are affiliated with the gang, are they doing gang stuff? Are they throwing up gang signs, spraying tags?
Who knows?
And shooting up everybody? No, they're not. They're just. I mean, what if they're just like? What if they? No, but if their like I don't know, parent was a blood or a crip or whatever,
right?
And like it's just a part of their family history.
But let me ask you a separate question.
You'll wear whatever you want.
So those are good things to consider. But let me ask you this: Are any of those good enough reasons to allow gang activity and gang affiliation to be prominent in a school?
No.
So that's what I'm saying. So even though, this is how our country operates. We are in the land of the free, but our freedoms are measured. We don't have absolute freedoms.
No, we can't just slap someone in the face. That's assault and battery.
Right. So as our freedoms encroach on another person's freedom, then we start breaking the law.
It interferes with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Right. And so
no one's happy when they get slapped. I mean, some people are, but
right.
That's their own stuff.
Well, isn't that the same thing? Like this person wearing this gear, so-called gang affiliated gear, but they're just pursuing their happiness.
That's their liberty and pursuit of happiness, So but are they is the color red making someone's eyes hurt?
Maybe, but what about this idea? Don't we have to be responsible for our community, and don't we have an obligation to protect people, even if it limits some people's freedom, or is it like Benjamin Franklin says, which is those that would give away their freedom for security deserve neither?
That depends. You see, you give away your freedom for security. It's kind of like a credit card.
Okay.
So you get rid of your freedom to spend as much money as you want for the security of not spending more than you actually have. You know?
Okay.
So it's like there should be an in-between point. Like I say, you shouldn't be able to do all these things. Like you shouldn't be able to just carry around an M60 LMG down the street.
Okay.
Just have it holding it. Like that's kind of, well, what if that guy's a deranged lunatic about to go into an old folks home and shoot it up? You know, like, well, or you know, like he's holding a katana. Well, I mean, it's a weapon. He has it drawn. I don't think you should be able to just do that. You know.
So what if he has it slung over his shoulder?
Well, that's still drawn. I think unless
So
it should
it's
be
exposed.
sheathed.
It's not-
So you know, it has to be. It would have to be.
So
you know, sheathed.
if your gun is too big to go in a sheath, you can't carry it.
I think so. If your gun is
What about
too-
the opposite idea? Look, you know why you only need to be 18 years old to buy a shotgun, but you need to be 21 to buy a handgun?
Shotgun, handgun's more dangerous because you can carry it around in different places and be and it's discreet. It's a concealed weapon.
So by that logic, the bigger the gun is, the safer it is.
Well, I mean, if you have a nuclear bomb, I feel like that's more dangerous than a firecracker. You know.
But we're comparing two different things. We're comparing an explosive
Okay, so
to an apparatus.
All right, so let's say you have. Well, I mean, it's like like a sword is was potentially more dangerous than a knife. It's based on exceptions.
Right.
So a shotgun, in some cases, is is dangerous than a handgun, and you know. A grenade can be more dangerous than a nuclear bomb, depending on who it is. Let's say you have a nuclear bomb, like most countries on Earth, they're probably not going to use it.
Right, so it has a potential danger that's way great, but it's just dormant.
They just have them, you know.
Right.
They have them just so that, you know, other countries have nukes, and that, you know, it's basically to prevent a power void.
Right.
I
think it's much more relevant that Homeland Security purchased like hundreds of millions of .40 caliber bullets.
I mean, that's kind of.
I think it was billions. I want to say 4 billion bullets.
What are they doing with all those rounds?
Target practice, stockpiling, whatever it might be.
That's a lot of rounds.
Yes, it is a lot of rounds.
Oh, what are they training? A whole army, I guess.
Sharpshooters. I don't know.
I guess they're training a whole army.
But again, like so. Before I want to go into this topic about these youngsters suing the government. But before we do that, I want to kind of touch on something that I think needs more discussion. Right now, there's a great big push in our country to have what we call what is known as common sense gun laws. So what do they really mean by that? So here's what they really mean, or at least the proponents. They're saying that we should have true universal background checks. In other words, no matter who you are or where you buy a gun in this country, whether you're at a gun show or whether you're buying it from a neighbor or whether you're at a store, everyone should have a background check.
Of course.
Okay. Then a second push is to outlaw what they call assault rifles.
No. Here's my thing.
Assault weapons ban, which was in effect for most of my life.
No, here's the thing. I don't think you should ban any type of weapon.
Okay.
They should be regulated severely, but not banned, because that's kind of part of that. That is unconstitutional. Second Amendment. Right to bear arms.
To keep and bear arms for what purpose?
To protect against the government.
To have a well-regulated militia.
To protect against the government.
Technically, that's what it was for.
It's because, they just got out of a war with the government.
So this is the thing that sometimes I struggle with, because I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but I consider myself a progressive person. So as a progressive, though, I feel like, hey, man, it's really everyone should have a right to health care. Yeah. But I also, as a progressive, think everyone should have the right to bear arms.
Of course, you should. I'm saying let's say this. Let's say you want to get
everyone that is.
I feel there should be different.
Right, everyone who is sane.
Yeah, of course,
and who is not a criminal and all that. Right, they should have the right to defend themselves and their family
with the weapon,
with a firearm.
Yes, firearm.
Right,
or at least a crossbow.
But, well.
That's more of an arrow arm, a string arm.
There's a semi-automatic crossbow, but
they do have those.
You need to be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
They do have those. The China had them for thousands of years.
Like here's a thought. Here's a thought that some people would think that isn't a progressive thought, but did you know that the United States jails more of its citizens than any other, a higher percentage of its citizens than any other country on earth? Are
we supposed to be the country about liberty?
We are the country about liberty, but I think 1 in 5 inmates on Earth are here in America.
That's more than a continent.
So let me ask you this question though: Is it a consequence of unfairness? Yes. But also, is it a consequence of liberty? Because you have the freedom to decide to do stuff. And so when you do something that you have the freedom to attempt, but it's illegal and you get... I mean, are we jailing people because of freedom?
That's called natural selection. If you're an idiot, you shouldn't be able to breed.
No, what I'm saying is... and you'd be surprised because a lot of human natural selection has to do with money.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, because humans are
money and also style.
We're smart enough to understand to go past our primal instincts to an extent.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, this guy, he's not very good looking, but he's really smart and has all these. He's like,
right.
He's a visionary.
Right.
But a chimpanzee is like, this guy is disgusting. I don't care if he just figured out how to use a rock and a hammer.
Yes.
I'm going with this guy who is dumb as a box of rocks.
Yeah, because he looks like a chimp.
Yeah, this guy looks like an albino chimp.
The naked, tall chimp.
Okay, that's illegal.
Short arms and long legs.
Well, that's illegal. I was talking about an actual chimpanzee.
Oh, I was talking about a human being.
Yeah, okay, that's illegal, sir.
But
this is beyond illegal.
So. I think that's a point that people need to talk about more. I think that some of the fear of firearms comes from a false assumption that the people who do have firearms are going to take care of you and save you. When Hurricane Katrina happened, the police were nowhere to be found, and then they discovered that the police were actually committing crimes and murders. During the hurricane.
That is deprarious. That is depressing and hilarious.
Oh man, it's not.
I have
hilarious.
a very dark sense of humor.
Well, I wouldn't call it hilarious. I would say it would be,
that's why it's deprarious, because it's also depressing.
Well, I think it's definitely some depravity there. But my point is that when situations break down, the people who you think are going to be there to support may not be, and you have to think some self-sufficiency. Like everyone in America should have at least like 3 gallons of water per person at home, and you probably do, because at the back of your toilet it holds water, and you
might not want to drink it, but it's better than dying.
It comes from the same place as your tap water, and
Stockton's tap water has bleach in it, so I'm not sure about that.
Well, North Stockton.
Oh well, that's where I live.
North of the Calaveras River.
That's where we live.
But what I'm saying is that, we basically the point I'm really trying to make is that sometimes we're sure, we have this sense of assuredness about the positions that we take, but as we learn more, they change. There's examples of people who were raised as racist and they got older and they realized it's not cool.
Like there's someone who's raised as racist, but not Lincoln. Lincoln was like not racist his entire life. And there's one political figure who was raised racist but wasn't racist.
There's probably a lot of them.
But there's one major one that I thought of his name or his or her name.
Let me know when you come up with it. But
forgot it immediately after.
Of course. But the point I'm making is that we have we all make progress, and so where you are now as an 8th grader is not where you'll be, as an 18-year-old, and that's only a few short years away.
It's 4 years.
Right. But you'll have developed in many areas, and that's something that we need to give each other. We need to give each other the room to grow. And we got to be, I typed this on Facebook. I was arguing with one of my friends. This is what I do, about something in politics, and they were saying something about, they were having a negative,
outlook,
negative response to all these people engaged in politics. He's like, oh, everybody thinks they know everything, and all these people think they're progressives, and I've been a progressive my whole life, and this and that. And my response was, hey, man, don't be mad that people are getting woke.
I actually read that text. It was hilarious. You showed me it was hilarious.
Okay, and one thing I said is, you got to have patience for patience. Like most of the population are political patients. They're sick. They don't understand what's going on in the political world. They've been checked out of it too long, and it's gone runaway. It's like a runaway train, And most people don't really know what we need to do to fix it. But we got all these great ideas.
They know that we need to change it. They just don't know how.
Right. So
it's kind of like yeah, I was gonna say like the politics, but that's what we're talking about right now.
Sure,
so.
it is. But we don't want to we don't want to hate on people because now they're into it. That's a good thing. So I think that if we have more of that attitude, and without having to worry about whether we disagree, because you're not agree. I mean, we're relatives. We don't agree on everything. Yeah. So there's no way to agree on everything about.
No one's going to agree on everything.
Right, but when we find things that we can work on, make progress there, it makes us stronger, makes our society better, makes more progress happen.
Yeah, let's agree to disagree. That's the saying.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So tell me. Let's go into this. This is we could close on this story.
Okay, so
youth are suing the federal government.
Oh, it's gonna be good. So it is about the Juliana versus United States lawsuit that is currently ongoing since 2015. I was like 10. A group of 21 youthful individuals is suing the federal government for violating their constitutional right to life. And what it means is that they're they're saying the federal government is knowingly allowing and helping climate change. And by helping climate change, I don't mean it's helping stop it. I mean helping, helping it
making
happen.
the problem worse.
They're like you're not helping.
Right, and actually actively making it worse.
Which I don't want to live on. I don't want to live on planet Venus. That's all.
Unlivable.
Yeah, I don't want to live on planet Venus. I want to live on Earth. So I'd rather have Earth. If I want to live on Venus, I'm gonna go there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, go melt.
Yeah. Sulfuric acid.
So they're suing the federal government. It said that the Supreme Court ruled that they have every right to do so.
Of course.
So what's the status now with the case?
So the status is, I think they're from what I remember is that they're it's like ongoing. They're basically like
It's in court.
It's in court litigation. It's in court. Yeah, it's in litigation.
Hey, one thing I was thinking about.
In fact, actually, Big Oil teamed up with the federal government to try to have the case thrown out like twice.
Of course.
Of course, Big Oil, the most corrupt business, except for like video games. The video games has become so. It's like in proportion to itself. Big Oil has always been corrupt, pretty much, but like it's gotten worse, but not nearly as bad as video game. It's like the ratio has gotten worse. Like, it used to be you made one really good game. Now it's like you make one mediocre at best game and have like 70 DLCs and 3 season passes.
As long as they're making money.
Yeah, so that's kind of scummy.
Well, one thing I want to say about Big Oil. The first report we got on climate change demonstrating that it is a real phenomenon came from ExxonMobil in the 70s.
They're like, hey, we're all gonna die if we don't stop. And then I think a few years later they're like, if we stop this, we're all going to be out of a job.
Forget about it.
They're like, and we're probably all going to be dead. And our kids are probably smart enough to fix it. Right. And the problem, and that's basically what's happening right now. It didn't change.
Right. It says here, Philip Gregory, one of the lead attorneys representing the children filing suit, explained that the injunction request is meant to address the urgency of limiting climate change by reducing emissions from fossil fuels immediately.
It will be a major change.
With the current case tied up in appeals, the plaintiffs wanted to make sure the current state of affairs with respect to climate change doesn't get worse as the wheel of justice slowly turn. One of the kids in the case is the Earth Guardian's youth director, Zutucato Martinez. He actually is a performing artist, and he got like these dope songs about the environment.
He partially inspired me to grow my hair out.
Nice.
Partially. Nice. It was that and you when you were like 5. That's 5, early young Don, young Governor Don.
Right.
Don Kona.
So what's beautiful to me is that and it's actually there's Bible scriptures on it that said that the young will basically take the lead.
Because they have to.
So that's where we're at now.
Social Security much?
So I'm real proud of this group, and definitely Earth Guardians too. I follow them, and I think it's great that youth are taking this seriously, and they're taking charge. We had young people who were criticizing Dianne Feinstein a couple weeks ago, and Dianne Feinstein just brushed him off and disrespected him, and she got lambasted.
It was a life-ending roast.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna need both a burn heal and a Sinzu bean to heal that. Okay?
I think she sealed her fate. I don't think that she'll be elected next year.
Why would you ever insult young people?
Unfortunately, senators are in office for a long time.
That's like saying, "Hey, universe, want to fight?" It's like, and you get hit by a meteor. It's like, well, you kind of did. You literally asked for it.
That's right. 2024 will vote her out.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything else?
Yeah. So, hold on, I gotta read this.
It's all right. Okay. So, and then we'll be talking about some stuff next week. We coming back on next week?
Oh yeah, of course.
So why don't if you got any questions or topics that you want to suggest for us to talk about, I'll be here with Jayavin again next week. If you want to come on the show and be a guest, send us a message or a comment, and we'll see what we can do. We like to have these conversations, weekly. So if you can help us make that happen, let's do it.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah. So and you had something to close with?
Yeah. So I encourage you to do more research of your own on not just this, but whatever you want to learn, because the internet, it's basically a library that doesn't end.
The best library.
And what uses information if you can't cross-examine it?
I agree.
So let's see. You have this information. Oh yeah, well turtles can move at the speed of light, but there's no way to check it. Right. It's like, well, I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't have any turtles. I don't no one who knows about turtles. Don't anyone else know books about turtles?
Well, that's why these kids got to sue this environment, sue the government, so that we can
sue the environment.
Sue the environment. Sue the government so that we can actually have an environment that will have turtles.
Hold on. Headline: Big Oil sues environment for not having enough oil. That's like something like King George III would do.
All right, so you're on Facebook. What's your at Jbro LCPS? You making a new profile?
I may have to make a new profile. That's very outdated.
That is a little outdated. So next week, Jay is gonna announce his new Facebook handle.
I think it's just gonna be Jayavin Mashevsky.
All right, nice. And of course, you're tuned in to Politics Panoramic. This is the intergenerational edition.
Intergenerational. What is a panoramic if not diverse?
Right.
We need a girl in here.
Oh, we will.
We need a LGBT Latino female in here.
Hey, let's mix it up. So yeah, we love diversity here at the Voice of San Joaquin.
All the things we don't have.
That's right. So thanks for tuning in. We'll come back next week. Shout out to Jbro for joining me on the episode.
Thank you.
We will definitely have more for you. Please do make your comments and suggestions, and don't forget to like us at the Voice of San Joaquin at TVOSJ
or Tavosj.
All right, Jbro, let's sign out.
All right, sign out. Let me just write my name.
Politics.